Happy Sunday. Just hanging out. It's too cold to go anywhere. Like feels like minus 40 something. It's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. And I'm going nowhere. I'm staying put. Got some non-mask orders to go out tomorrow. It's going to be brutal, but I'm going to do it. I'll get outside. I hate the cold, and every year I've gone away. Always. I leave and I take off to Ecuador. I got 2 months in El Salvador a few years ago. Always at least a month. And my fitness routine absolutely counts on that time in Ecuador, so I can keep walking and keep fit in the winter time. And unfortunately, well, that was rudely interrupted along with everybody else, right? I've got friends that are in Arizona and Palm Springs and places like that, but it seems to be better than here. The worst part about Saskatchewan, again, is the winter time, and it is long, and at least it's getting lighter out, so that's a plus, but brutal. And of course, the other day we got news that apparently they were going to lift that 3-day quarantine, but that's not happening because the Justice Center in Calgary has merely sent a letter. And it's still happening. Now, I phoned the Calgary airport yesterday just to check it out, be sure, but the girl said she'd heard word, people calling, but there's no announcement, and until it is amended on the Canada website, it is not happening. It's not. It won't. I don't see it. The worst part here is that, we've got, in Canada, we are a massive territory with 4 airports to receive international travelers. And those international travelers are actually, they're quarantining now. They haven't stopped that practice at all. We've got to be careful. Hey, Gary. Hey, Lillian. How are you? Tracy. Happy Sunday afternoon. It's a little frustrating because the Justice Center sends a letter, and then all of a sudden there's this hoopla that the quarantine is over, the 3-day $2,000 deal at their most expensive hotel they can find. It's unbelievable. Quite elitist, I would say. The fact that they just assume that people traveling internationally have that kind of money to burn, and of course giving them no notice. In any case, until there is a notice from the Prime Minister on this, it's not happening. So we shouldn't be making plans. No, not yet, because the airlines were absolutely willing and just about excited to pull back their flights and lose business. And why would that be? Well, because they are stakeholders in Agenda 2030. This is a retrofit of travel. It truly is. And I got to thinking yesterday, isn't this like a little strange? It's like they want everybody back in their home country, or they want all Canadians back, because we're the only ones to have this strict 3-day edict. Now in the UK, apparently they have that for what they call high-risk travelers. And in Australia, apparently they have been doing that with the quarantine hotel nonsense, in which there were huge controversies. But I don't see that this is ending at all. I don't. The fact is, again, 4 airports, Toronto, Montreal, Calgary, and Vancouver. We have like a massive territory here in Saskatchewan, and Manitoba, in which we cannot be received internationally. So what does that mean for, even if this was broken, what does that mean for the rest of us in outlying areas, like, again, Saskatchewan? What does that mean for us? it means that we're going to be isolated. I mean, honestly, it's going to be an absolute inconvenience to live here. And then, of course, the Regina Airport is saying that apparently something to do with their aerial tower or their controller's tower, and that it's coming down. I'm not sure. I have to look into that a little further. But in any case, the gist of that little message was the fact that, well, they might be canceling even more flights out of here, isolating us even further. It's despicable. And, well, it doesn't make Saskatchewan a very palatable place to live, does it? When you're inconvenienced, particularly in a territory in which COVID is, again, I've met one person that's had COVID internationally, talking about this every single day. Kids being quarantined when they're not sick for 2 weeks, punishing people for contact with someone that might, or tested positive that wasn't sick either. It's just absolutely nuts. But here we are. And it's really making things difficult for us to make plans. Of course, we can't. How can we make plans for the future? For me, the isolation of Saskatchewan just makes it, again, unpalatable. And again, how does that work for business? I mean, we want to promote business here, opportunity. It's a joke because this doesn't promote it at all. It's like you're saving it up. I don't know, for China? Is that what's going on here? You don't want to offer any opportunities to your people that live here? You want to open it just to foreign investment? That's pretty much what I'm seeing here, because this is, well, devastating to anyone in business. It's despicable. But here we are. Trying to stay positive. Not a mask is going really well. My website's functioning, so that was a bit of a go, making sure that was all working. Orders coming in slowly but surely, but we're definitely getting a lot of hits on the website, so that's interesting to watch. People are getting into the messaging, it seems, and I'm seeing people there for a while, so it's kind of fun to be in the back end watching what's going on. Notamask.ca did some new banners for YouTube and of course for Facebook, and now I'm going to be working on tonight my marketing campaign coming up called The Mask is Forever. I'm hoping this is going to hit it home for people that aren't getting it, that think this is just for a while, because I know better. This is forever. And I'm hoping that once they understand this fact, they will actually open a window of thought. And again, I know when you're educating people about stuff like that, that they need that window open, because the, slamming the door in my face route wasn't working at all. So again, taking it out of the tinfoil hat realm and putting it into the realm of, well, fashion, to places that they wouldn't find political messaging, like photography and arts. And again, we know that the arts are saturated with people who are, well, seemingly wanting to promote this new vision of humanity, and it doesn't align with us. Agenda 2030 is totalitarian. It is not a sunshine and roses picture that they are professing. It's far from it. It means that everything on earth, down to the pebble, is going to be categorized. It means it's going to be archived. They want to know every single resource, and that comes down to growing food. In Australia, after the fires, there were a lot of areas where people were not allowed to move back to, even though like the fire was gone, but to build again, they weren't allowed to because it wasn't deemed safe. This is how it's going. It's all about safe. And of course, here in the West, we live in the safest nations in the world. Truly, we really do. Yet, for some reason, we're just not safe enough. And everybody, I'm shocked and appalled with how many people that I am, again, in a city like Regina, surrounded by people that want to be mollycoddled for the rest of their lives. Handled, because this is what Agenda 2030 is. It's the handling of every aspect of Earth down to humanity. That's where the V comes from. And this is why the push to this 99% vaccination. It's because it's a management strategy. The mask is part of a management strategy, managing human nature, relieving corporations, government, institutions of any liability that may result from, human nature. Because humans are just part of they're a cog in the wheel now. We're not, I think a lot of us, like myself, believe that humanity, like everything else, sort of revolved around humanity. And what I've learned about Agenda 2030, that in fact, no, humanity is just this little part. And everything else sort of supersedes it. It's just a spoke in the wheel. Like global governance, same idea. Each country is just a spoke in the wheel. It's not going to be an entity upon itself like it was in the past. This is the busting of nationalism. It's a global effort. And I don't believe that we're going to come out of states of emergency until an official global government is enacted. That will be happening because, again, this is why we are under states of emergency. To avoid any insurrection, because of course I experienced a whole lot of downright stalking and attacks the minute I started No Mask Sask. And it wasn't because it was against the mask, no, because there were a lot of other little groups around that had more members than we did. The reason they came at so hard is because, well, I'm educating about Agenda 2030. And of course, the minute I had a group, I was a danger, a clear and present danger to the new order. And I never would have believed before this experience how absolutely ingrained a new order was. And literally, it was wired prior to it all, prior to any aversion to what was going on, down to the protests, guaranteed. I want to give people hope, I do, but we can't have hope in a government and that is playing ball with the new order. This is what's happening. They're all in on it, backing each other up. Conservatives running the flank. Justice Center over there, containing all of those people with their little tickets. And misinforming. We need to be resilient individually right now. This is the only way out of this tyranny. Because what they're enacting here is a clear and present danger to our personal sovereignty. It truly is. They want to take our sovereign right to our body. And they are going to psychologically manipulate us, just like they did with the mask. The only way out of this is to get out of the fray. To rely on Rocco Galati in Ontario that never even had a case that concerned anywhere else in Canada except for Ontario. It's far from concluded. And again, there was misinformation sent out the other day that he won. He didn't win anything. Misinformation is our worst enemy right now. It really, truly is. And it's frustrating. Vaccine choice is doing nothing for the rest of Canada and the other Canadians that are not wanting to participate in this vaccination effort. Being autonomous is the best plan. It truly is. I got a message from a woman the other night, and in her building, it was very sad. She said she'd lived there 19 years, and now she can't go in the hallway without a mask. Wanted some sage advice, and I couldn't give her any because these are private businesses, and it's wrapped into their liability insurance. They're not going to let you have a free pass. This is going to be the way. When people understand that this is here to stay, never going away, our new social norms, maybe, just maybe, it'll tweak that there's more going on that meets the eye. And that's how all of us ended up diving into subjects like chemtrails that everybody said, oh, you must be a conspiracy theorist. No, it's because windows had opened and information, and finally it resonated with people. And the more they dug, the more they learned. That's what makes a truther. That's what I am. I want to know the truth, even if it hurts. I want to be prepared psychologically. Because if they come to vaccinate us, well, what can we do? What are we going to do? I'll tell you what I'm doing right now. I am making sure that my immune system is top-notch. I have no intention of getting it, but if push comes to shove and they end up throwing me in jail, they're going to give it to me anyway. I'm not going to go willingly, that's for sure. But I've known a lot of people who've lived in tyrannical nations where there is no justice. And I find that they just, well, there's no choice but to resign to it because it's the truth. Justice does not prevail. And it always has here in Canada and the United States, or for the most part it has. Or so we thought. Not in a lot of cases, right, Lillian? You know about that. It's like we've been under a delusion that we are sovereign beings. Jennifer, it's a scary concept, but totally one we all need to be willing to ask ourselves, what will we do? It's true. Like, I got to thinking, okay, if they throw me in there, I won't have my supplements. I'll be eating the worst food. I'll be unable to take care of myself, and they're still going to do it anyway. Because you won't be able to be in these institutions. The first thing they're going to do is vaccinate you. I'm really focusing on keeping myself healthy. I take my supplements every day without fail. Exercising every day, even minus 40. If governments are in on Agenda 2030, their courts won't be much help in resisting. Absolutely, and this is what I keep trying to say. None of these lawyers are identifying Agenda 2030, okay? In order to actually seek justice in this case, we would need to actually be attacking what the root of the problem is and where all of this is emerging. It's not from our public health. It's not. It's from the World Health Organization. They're in control of this management. They were put in charge January 30th, 2020, so over a year ago. Truly. Basically a POW. Oh, God, yeah. Refused to go willingly also. I know, Dorothy. I want to have sage advice, and I just don't. This is going to be a personal, something that we have to reconcile with personally. I'll never judge anyone who was against it for doing it, because everyone has different circumstances. They truly do. Just like the mask. It really upset me, and it does, when I see people. A guy that was on my feed the other day called me a slave. And I thought, that's really ignorant. Like, look, we've resisted, but it came down to the point where I was getting death threats on a regular basis. Sorry I wasn't good enough for you. But at the end of the day, my personal choice for my personal safety, I didn't approve or consent to being attacked. And I think that we have to, again, stop. We've got to stop judging. At the end of the day, I don't want to share stuff that says you're a sheep. You know what? They're listening to their government. Insulting. I already got so many insults. Like, again, doors slammed in my face before I opened my mouth, that it wasn't worth it. Again, we need to correspond and talk right now, and everybody has different circumstances. This is a personal journey. It truly is. Unaware populations being exploited, and they truly are. They truly are. But again, I'm getting a little upset with these lawyers, okay? Because as far as I'm concerned, they're all in on it. Because if they were to be true blue, they would be identifying what is fissuring our human rights, our constitutional rights. They would actually go after what the basis for it all. They put something together to that effect. And here's the other thing. I was a little upset because, the Justice Center did do a little threatening letter before, just like this one, to Trudeau, regarding the state of emergency. But that was at election time. Conservatives running the flank. And of course, that whole idea just sort of disappeared right after the election. Isn't that convenient? It's like we've got controlled op everywhere we go, everywhere we look. And people get upset with me because I call it out. I don't care. I'm saying it because I experienced it in the group. I watched it. So frustrating. Just a sec, I'm going to grab my drink here. Very frustrating. But anyway, guys, it's, where we got there? You know what? Yes, we have to get mentally prepared here. We truly do. To be in denial doesn't serve any of us. It truly doesn't. We've got realities coming down the pipeline. Again, I'm a person that understands manifestation, and I believe in that. And again, to think that it's going to kill you, then it might. Don't want to do that. Again, I have no confidence in it, and I hope that something will emerge in protection. Because again, we continue to rest on our constitutional rights. And I'm calling them laurels right now because, again, I've seen no justice. Another name for a lawyer is a liar, yeah. Yeah, I have a bit of experience with that. I had one great lawyer once, a woman. She got her degree when she was in her 40s. And she was honestly served me extremely well. Made me take ownership of the case. And allowed me actually to write the letters, and she just sort of John Henry'd them and tweaked them up, and it saved me a whole lot of money. It did, after I got just pillaged by several before that. I learned a lot. Jennifer, you know, everybody is like, no, you know, we're not going to do it. We have to stand firm and all of that. Yes, but again, the reality is coming down the pipeline. We're watching it literally roll out right before our very eyes, just like the mask. In my city, I mean, we didn't even have any cases when that mask mandate, okay? Like, I think we had a few, but we were over 2 months where they were pushing the mask downtown, and they made it so that vendors at the farmers market had to wear them, or it was a strong suggestion coming from 3 directions. People that lived outside of the city coming in to sell their food, but they're not familiar with the city, so of course they're listening to the news all scared. And then they come in realizing, well, lots of people aren't wearing them, but how can we have to? It's certainly not good for business for any of them. It's killing it. It's sad. Again, I know moms that have had their kids in quarantine because one case pops up and everybody's locked down. Oh, I think they're down to the cohort group now. But again, none of them sick. Testing for what's not there in order to impose themselves in your family, in your home. And it's just absolutely wrong and contrary to everything that being a Canadian means to me. We're autonomous, always have been. We've been free, we've been allowed to travel the world. I have been in the wildest places, and always places where you can't go there. Oh yeah, I can. And a lot of this is really going to be about controlling where people go. According to the World Economic Forum, they're talking Asia, India, China are the new destination hotspots, taking the focus off us. I'm still looking to where Canada fits in at the World Economic Forum, because you see listings for China and the United States and a bunch of different, Turkey's even in there, but where's Canada? Not quite sure where we fit in yet. Cash cow, I guess. Resources. And of course, up in the north, there again, you can't travel around. Got to have a pass, only essential workers. But apparently there were miners up there protesting. So getting down to protesting, you had 0 cases when they first mandated. You're in New York State, right, Dorothy? Yeah. This is it. We're irrelevant. No, Jennifer, I know. Okay. In third world nations that I travel to a lot, you know, the people they believe they're irrelevant when it comes to the big scheme of things. It's us in the West that believe that we were participatory in all of this. We were led to believe it. And, you know, again, what I've seen this year is, no, they're not listening. They're not. There's nobody who has our back on the vaccination front. Have you heard one politician talk about that? Not one. 0. They're actually, Rachel Harder is on my feed. I like to keep up with her acting because, again, she's running the flank, pushing Trudeau to come up with a more concrete plan on vaccination delivery, not listening at all to the people in her feed that are going, no, we don't want it. It's insane. It's insane. I was thinking, you know, it might be a good idea to somehow put together a registry of people who do not want the vaccination. But, you know, again, security is a concern, particularly with a registry of all the names that they would need to go out and find you. So again, I keep rethinking all of these things. All of this blockchain coming in, and again, the continued integration of us, our habits, what we talk about, the material that we confront, they know all that about us. And again, that's a concern because again, we're seeing this sort of police state, seeing a police state roll out. It's right here. Totally, they're fighting us and allude that we want the vaccine. It's like we're being gaslighted before we even open our mouths. Yeah. We don't want it. Our MLA in Southwest Sask seems to be fighting for us as of right now. Who's that? Let me know. Melissa, totally. It would be scary to have a record of people's name who don't want the vaccine. See, this is interesting, guys. It was about 3 years ago. I was going to embark. This was another idea I had. I've been roofied several times in my life, and it was after it happened here about 3 years ago. I thought about putting together some sort of app where women or people that have had it happen can, well, number one, they could get in contact immediately with an authority, but number two, that they could be wired in. Again, they would know the location, then, you know, people could get on and go, okay, well, oh, you know, 4 women were roofied here. But as the idea rolled out, I was approached, and guys interested in blockchain. And that's when I started to understand about what was coming in that regard and how wired in we would be. And it was from my personal experience of, again, exploring a roofie app. Or, you know, another big concern was the fact that, well, other people's privacy would be compromised. And that's where I came to an ethical debate going, okay, well, okay, you got wins on one hand where, you know, people who are doing this could get caught and we could maybe seek justice. Or at the least, women would be, and men, anybody really, would be alerted to where this sort of thing goes on. And then police and lawyers kind of in. And I didn't realize that I was actually describing blockchain before I knew what it was. And I realized, oh my God, that just opens a whole can of worms because I believe in privacy. I just wanted the bad guys, or I just actually wanted the information for potential victims to be alerted and to be able to control, again, I have an idea of where this type of thing was going on. And then I went to South America and I put it by a South American friend there, and he was like, oh yeah, well, that's the quickest way to get killed. Because of course trafficking and all of that sort of thing happens in establishments where this goes on, and yeah. This is the conundrum here, because we know this 5G and all of this is coming in, and bit by bit we are going to be more integrated, again, with a digital identity, with a vaccination passport, which I believe will be wired in. That's not, I don't believe, a physical document. That's going to be a wired in entity. How does that work? But again, there will be no privacy, but there will be safety on the other hand. Or that's how they're selling it. I think it's going to be utter intrusion. It was like the woman Ida Oken who wrote the paper, It's 2030. I own nothing and I have no privacy. She did that in 2017. And of course the New York Times has reprinted it in several other venues. But she ends it with, well, I hope nobody uses it against me. Because that is a reality of, again, every bit of our information being wired in and having our identities hijacked. I do not have trust in that. I don't. Oh, Jeremy Patzer. Okay, interesting. I'll check it out. Right now, like I keep saying, vaccine choice and Rocco, no, that's got nothing to do with the rest of the country here. Nothing. we know that these stakeholders in Agenda 2030, being Walmart, the first place that put in the mask mandates, okay, all of these guys, they're going to be the first, and they will make a vaccination mandatory. That's the plan. The government won't do it. The corporations are running, again, the flank for all of it. Unions, everybody working together. And then, of course, it'll be worker safety. Now, of course, Walmart's not unionized. And really, I don't know why all these people belong to unions, because, well, they're making less now than they ever did. It's crazy. All for our safety. I never realized that there were so many people that wanted every bit of their life controlled. Like, I've escaped control my whole life. Literally run from it. And yeah, I just don't understand. But here we are. Definitely getting to know our friends and neighbors and know what they're made of. And of course, figuring out what we're made of, right? I think that's the deepest thing. I have a woman who actually was very angry with me when I started Not a Mask. And she was a friend before, but she got really upset to the point where she started sending me some pretty nasty stuff. And I really liked her. And again, she was misunderstanding. And I got a little message from her on Instagram the other day. She was still on there, and she apologized profusely for what she had said. And of course, I graciously accepted that apology. I realized what it might have looked like, but at the end of the day, she had been arrested for a mask incident, and she was finding no justice. She was treated like dirt, and again, she's confronting her own boundaries and herself. The biggest thing we've got to do right now is stop with the judgment, right? No judgment. Like, look, people are going to do what they're going to do, and we can't push them to believe something that they don't believe yet. We have to get more creative, guys. We do. And again, that's why I started Not a Mask, to really get a little bit more creative and market, because that's what we're actually enduring. We have a grand marketing program upon us right now, and they've pulled out all the stops. People here from Canada, they don't understand about these injustices, because again, we've never confronted it to this level. We didn't think it could happen to us. And a lot of people just aren't ready to admit that it is. The old Canada we had is gone. It is. Most people don't realize electric vehicles can easily be programmed as to where you are allowed to go. Again, yes. I mean, well, and of course, driverless, right? Like here in the prairies, we're going to be kind of safe till about 2040. Our car allowance, they have a structured, each province has a structured plan, but as the city grows, of course, and they actually get a transit system, it will, the driverless and all of that will fall in, but we'll be a little bit behind. But Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, all those cities, of course, the first to jump on Uber, right? So true, can't push these people to see the truth. I notice when people do call them sheep, it almost pushes them to be more in the wrong direction and have their minds blocked from anything further said. It's true. Well, again, I got insulted regularly. It was like, you're a bitch. Slam. And I could not communicate through that. I couldn't. People are... We're all in a different stage of the journey, and some of us are old souls. I really truly believe this. Some of us see beyond what others do, and again, that's because of personal experiences in life. My experiences in life were travel and being in police states and seeing how it goes down and knowing people that live in them. and them educating me as to the realities of their situations and how far they can go when it comes to protesting or anything like that. Again, we have been sheltered. We have. We can't correspond yelling at each other. We can't. And again, insults. It's nothing that turns you off quicker than that. For me, it was just block, block, block. I had to, because they just keep coming at me. The old USA is gone too. Oh, I know, Dorothy. And like cities like New York City, my favorite city. I mean, the dining, the attitude of the people, I just loved it there. And now, no desire to go back. I'm seeing in Mexico and in Italy where they are about the food. Italy, the home of slow food. They're fighting back restaurateurs. They are. We'll see how far that gets. I can't imagine that they're going to allow Italian food culture, again, the home of slow food, to crumble, but they're trying. It's horrid. It's just horrid. But busting the landscape as they knew it. And again, just like here. I had a friend from the UK today telling me that in November they were in Sweden and there weren't mask wearing in the airport and stuff like that. So there's places that, again, aren't going as heavy as we are, but we are here. And the Commonwealth nations, to me, they're taking the lead in literally pushing us back to meet the third world in the middle. That's where we're going. Destroying as many incomes as we can, equaling out society, gutting privilege. It's the idea. Screw intergenerational wealth is, well, a lot of people are going to be rejigging their plans for retirement. It's going to take a hit. You lived in New York City? Oh, yeah. Oh, what a city. But again, gone. Never be the same. California, I mean, really? What I'm hearing from there, I just don't want to be there, no. Again, travel will change. Again, I know people that have been in Arizona and they're enjoying themselves and going out for dinners and life is fairly normal. Even allowed to walk around without a mask in a store, being exempt. They're honoring that. UN equality, equal poverty for all. Exactly. Well, again, once they kick in, I don't know, Gary, if you've seen the circular economy little announcement on the Government of Canada website. It's there. It's just a little blurb. It says nothing except being sustainable. Again, it doesn't get into that 57% personal income tax. And again, we're learning what socialized healthcare really means. It means that they control us. They control our management. And this is, I believe, the premise they're coming from, truly. That's why they need the U.S. all socialized. Sad times. Again, we have a lot of things to think about. And that is really, truly what are we really going to do when they come? I've had people recommending the vaccine to my parents, and I'm just like, what are you doing that for? But again, they're just indoctrinated that the vaccine is for people that are older and immunocompromised. I keep hearing that in feeds when I try to get into the mainstream, and no, we're the last people that should be taking it. They say Sunset Strip looks like Skid Row. Yeah. Oh, isn't that sad? Well, again, new world. And there is more poverty now, Gary, Dorothy, all of you, there is more poverty now. People are losing it. I have a friend who has a beach resort, a little one in Jamaica, outside of Negril, and small business is obviously taking a hit. It did, and of course, now these additional restrictions, a lot of her people were from Canada. She's Canadian. And this is, again, gutting business. And of course, at the same time, there's a guy there who's working with the Chinese. Yeah, cut a $10 million deal there. So as these businesses are dying in these resort areas, there's people right in there ready to pick it up. It's like they already had a plan, right? In any case, I think it's time to let you all go, but thank you for joining in. And again, we need to be informed, work on our own immune systems, get top notch. And of course, you know, without going out here, because it's so cold, I won't go out till I have an order tomorrow. But work out at home, take care of yourself. And Juan was on there today, and what he said, I'm saying, we need to get off Facebook. And I've met a few people, actually talked to a few people this week who've done just that. Limiting our time, because again, the first thing we're picking up is this bad news continually, but we need, again, to be informed, but not overwhelmed. We need to find balance with it all. Balance is key, even when they're, well, trying to manipulate us into their way of thought. We know what we know, and our instincts are bang on. Don't ever doubt yourself, or what you feel, or what you believe. And don't let anyone ever tell you that you're wrong. Have a great night.